having a bit of a challenge with, like, say, deliveries in some cities, if not all cities, through the other platforms mentioned earlier. Um, I want to say, as far as like the safety of the drivers that do decide to go out there at 3 a.m. because someone wanted some fried chicken, or to get it delivered in that small window of time that BiteSight is really pushing. Um, how do you guys have something in place with the current courier service provider that you use to see to it that drivers are, especially during those hours, are delivering with, I want to say, in the safest way possible, if that makes sense? If you
hmm
understand what I mean, like, are there any safety measures in place by BiteSight and their service provider in case something happens on a delivery with a driver that is en route?
Right. So some of the things and the measures that we've implemented so far are actually just the way that BiteSight is operating right now in New York City.
Hmm.
And the way that it's consolidated, we've made sure to have it in areas that we're familiar with. And the reason we've done that is that we want to be able to understand what kind of issues are happening and why. And so we're not quite out there in really deep into Long Island, and we're not super, super deep into the Bronx. And the reason we do this is because we don't really know what's going on out there, and we don't want to be put in situations where we don't quite understand the issues we might face. Obviously, if you're looking at other cities, whether it be Miami, Atlanta, LA, Houston, Chicago, there's going to be entire neighborhoods where it might not be such a good idea to be having our drivers be put at risk. And a lot of that is going to have to involve smarter order routing from our end. And so I think that that's going to be in specific scenarios where it's quite a high issue, a high risk. I think it's going to be something that's going to take a lot of work from us to make sure that we're not putting anyone in the wrong position. For the time being, what we do have is our drivers have access through their fleets to contact their support in case there's a difficult situation.
Hmm.
And as well, it's happened to us where a driver will communicate with us. And of course, we speak with our drivers often, but it's usually not a safety concern. But it has happened that if it's 2 in the morning, I'm in this spot, it says hand it to me. And at that point, if we need to make a game time decision, we're okay with losing an order or telling them put it in a safe location, and we'll make sure that you're compensated, and we'll make sure that the customer is taken care of, because we don't want to have someone standing around on the corner for 20 minutes when they're a little stressed about what's going on. And
Yeah.
so for now, we do this on a case by case basis, but it's definitely something that we've thought about and that we're angling toward routing around whenever we're moving into those bigger cities.
Did you see the recent viral video of a DoorDash driver where the customer came and smashed up their vehicle at their house? Did you see it?
I actually did not see this video. They followed them home?
Yeah, so there was a lot of information in many different videos, even an article, and you don't really know what to really follow except what the cut or what the driver was saying from their mouth in whatever video that you could find. Now, there's different videos, and I don't want to piece together the wrong video, but the main point here, since we're talking about safety, is this driver, I guess they lost cell service for whatever the reason, and somehow the customer found their home and their vehicle and took a brick from the neighbor's, I guess, garden area or whatnot, and smashed their windows, like banged on their hood, like. And the thing is, it's because since they lost cell service outside of in a very sketchy neighborhood, they were
hmm
outside of the customer's house, I guess maybe like 10 minutes, and maybe they had specific instructions. And losing connectivity to the app caused them to say, like, you know what? Well, this is sketchy. I've been here 10 minutes. I'm not going to be here longer than 10 minutes. I have my kids in the vehicle. Let me go home
hmm
since I'm not able to get in contact with this customer. But then come to find out, they were able to get in they were able to receive phone calls from that customer once they got home, And by that time, the customer already got their location, and they showed on the Ring camera they were banging on the door at late night and all the rest of the things that I mentioned earlier. So
Yeah.
in the case of these types of situations, I know drivers are going to be skeptical, or they should know their areas. They should know where to avoid, especially with BiteSight currently operating in New York. Are you from New York? Are you, the team?
I'm
Are you
not
guys
from New
from New York?
York,
No.
but we're based in New York now.
Okay. So there's a certain level of understanding about the city of New York that the team understands. So
Hmm.
let's just say Miami. Miami is more spread out, but it can be a melting pot just like New York is, right? But it's
Hmm.
way more spread out versus all the tall buildings really condensed together. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of areas in many different cities that should be avoided. How do you guys find out, or what research do you guys do to find out where to avoid, especially when you're
Hmm.
not from that city?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say that is really scary and a huge shame. And I think that whenever you're talking about service, like the service industry, like it's everything is about trust.
Yeah.
And so we are trusting the restaurant to make the right food, the driver to actually pick it up and to not take the fries out, and we're trusting them to actually drop it off and take a picture and leave the bag there.
Hmm.
And so everything is based on trust here. Obviously, there's proof, but over time, if you're, acting poorly, things come out. Drivers get banned from platforms, etc. But it's a huge shame to see that a customer would react in such a way when it was as simple as saying, "Hey, the driver did not drop the food off," and be compensated by the delivery app. And so of course, that's never the situation and that or the approach they should take. And we've actually had some shocking interactions with customers as well, where if something has gone wrong with their order, or even if they just decide they want to cancel their order when it's already on the way to them, and they get quite aggressive and mean and say some really, really hateful things. And for us, the priority there is to protect the driver, protect our own team and our support team, and communicate clearly with the user about what could happen to their account if they aren't stopping their behavior. And so, we've had that online. It's even scarier to hear about how it might happen in person. And so, hopefully, that person and that driver is taken care of, and that user isn't really able to be on DoorDash anymore. Now, when I think about the way that we go ahead.
Well, it, there's a long history of customers, or the claim of DoorDash saying that customer is banned from using DoorDash, but then they could easily just use another account, or another, like their friend or their cousin or whoever's account, um,
Hmm.
that's where I'm going with it, where it's
Yeah,
like, how do you even guarantee that we're going to really avoid that situation on a whole in the future?
yeah. And so there's of course more ways that you can consider about how you identify user, their customer ID, whether it be through their um, payment systems or their devices that they're using. But as a whole, preventing this before it's even possible, something that we do as we look into our new cities, and I'll just say, like I mentioned it before, Miami's on there, San Francisco, the Bay Area, Chicago, Houston, Atlanta, Austin, LA, and more. These are all already being prepared by our team. And what we do whenever we're going to take our first step there is we do a whole bunch of research and we figure out the addresses that are the prime spots for us to make sure we have the right coverage around places that are going to be good areas for bite site. And so a lot of this is learning about what are the styles of the different kinds of neighborhoods and what's the type of food that's everywhere, what's the kind of districts, whether it's a business district, a shopping district, suburban, etc., what kind of stuff is happening in the area. And in that phase is where we really think about, okay, where do we want to build out these? Because what we do is we take a map, we build out these shapes, and that's how we decide where the coverage is for us. And we base that off of these addresses that we really see as the hot spots for us to cover. And so that's what we take our initial step to to make sure that we're protecting our users and protecting our drivers. And as we continue to actually build out these cities and prepare for them to go live, there's actually a second layer that we do to make sure that we're actually equipped to handle the issues that occur in that area. And what I'll tell you, for example, is here in New York, we've got tons of restaurants, and a lot of them have now, we're over 7,500 restaurants now, and a lot of them have locations in New Jersey.
You're not going to skirt over that. You
Oh, yeah.
guys are partnered with 7,500 restaurants
We sure are.
in New York?
Exactly.
Okay, continue.
Right. And so, what we see is a lot of these restaurants, they've got locations just over the Hudson in New Jersey. And so we could, without too much hassle and probably without too much danger, we could probably get some of those areas live. But for us, it's important to be familiar with what's going on there. And we just don't spend a lot of time in New Jersey. And so we don't exactly understand what it's going to be like to bring on the drivers over there, because there's obviously a lot more cars than bikes.
Mhm.
And we're not exactly familiar with the situation and the vibe of the neighborhoods that we're in over there. And so for us, it's super important to make sure that we understand what's going on at BiteSight. And so for us, we've spent time and we know people and we've done plenty of research around these cities. But, it never hurts to go out to Miami and catch the vibe and see what's going on around different neighborhoods. So.
Oh yeah. What time it is, D-Fam? Yeah. It's time to what? Go get your money.